Good whenever.
All right. I guess I'll welcome everyone to the June 12th, 2025 zoning board of appeals meeting. So I'll open the meeting. We have one change to the agenda as it stands right now. We're just going to switch the order of pilot area variance and the chart area variance. So you guys here. The first item on the agenda though is the approval of the April 24th, 2025 minutes. Has everyone gone through them and had a chance to review? Any changes? Good. I'll move to accept the minutes. The motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Right. So then we'll open the Carter area variance. I will omit reading the overview since it was published in the Sentinel. For this time, I'll like to call you guys up to give us an overview, and I guess can we have a motion to open the public hearing? So moved. Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Come on up. You can sit, have a seat, yeah. And if just, I guess, give us an overview of kind of what you're looking to achieve and.
Looking to put a pole barn up on my property and, you know, the way that the property is currently laid out with the existing house, it's set back in fairways. And then there's a pond directly behind there that has fish and different things in there. And just from a logistics standpoint, to set it back to be even or back in the house would really interrupt the existing layout of the property.
For the pole barn proposal itself, so what was the width again? I'm sorry. I have to have 40 by 60, so you'd be encroaching on a rear variance anyways behind.
Oh, no, he's got one.
There's
Oh,
10.5
yeah.
acres, so.
Yeah, any
With
road.
the pond.
It's wider than it's deep.
Mhm.
Do you want to hand that to Chris?
Thank you.
We just need that one back.
I don't want to break the rule. All right. And then have you gone through any final finishes, like design it all on the pole barn, just from the aesthetic side of it?
I have some, but you know, effectively it's gonna be gray to pretty closely match the house, but metal roof, which won't exactly match the shingles, but be similar. And we'll probably put, at least on the front and back, probably some stone just to keep it visually appealing.
Mhm.
Any other board members have questions?
Utilities on the barn?
Not initially, but I'll pull electric and water to it
Mhm.
eventually. For it, and that's another reason with where I have it placed, it's close proximity to the pull electric from the house. And the propane there's a propane tank buried between the house and the site too. So that way if I choose to down the road add some heat, things like that, it's a bill.
Height?
I believe I have it spec'd for 12-foot ceilings.
12-foot
I
ceilings.
submitted architectural drawings with the building permit to Corey. But I don't have the exact height off the top of my head.
412 roof pitch? You know,
You know, what's that?
612.
612.
The reason that you want to put it where you're putting it not flush with the house.
Because just with the way the property's laid out and everything, it's gonna run it, you know, you'd be running it awfully close to the pond at that point if I set it back into the side there, the way that's laid out. It starts getting into a wetland by the pond, not so much a wetland as much as it's, you know, you, if I put that flush with the house with that configuration, it'd be right on top of the pond. It'd also be significantly more expensive because I'd have to bring, you know, driveway all the way back to there. Utilities would be further as well. I have the whole construction of the contract.
Anything else? Anyone? in mind?
Nope.
Well, thank you. Okay, appreciate it. We'll probably move on to the next one and then circle back, but you're welcome to stay or, all right. We want to make a motion to close the public hearing? We'll move.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Right, so we'll move on to the Powell area variance, and again, I will waive reading that since it was also published, but. I want to call you guys up, and then, can I get a motion to open the public hearing for that?
Yes.
Moved. Second,
I'll second.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Hi. So we're looking to put up a pole barn, detached garage on the side of our house. Basically for storage purposes. So we've been working with Greenland Surveying, to kind of figure out like the best spot possible to put this. As you can see on the survey map that we have, there's multiple EPODs, environmental protections, the wet area, the field floods. You know, there's a steep decline behind our house as well. So, yeah, I think that this is the best spot that we have for it.
Yeah, trying to have as minimal an impact on the environment as possible.
Yeah, so and trying to keep it perpendicular to the house too. The house is kind of set at like an angle, so. There's two variances that we're kind of looking for. The first one is the minimum setback from the road, which is 60 feet. But we're looking for roughly around the 37-foot mark. And then also the forward of the home, just based off of the topology of the property. It's pretty gnarly, so.
I noticed when I took a look and walked out there that you've got a couple other buildings that are already there. They're not permitted today. So, I guess tell us about those a little bit.
So they were there when we moved in, when we bought the property back in 2016, that's where that shed is, positioned there, so. Didn't realize that it didn't have a permit, it's there, I believe it's the 12 by 16 shed, which is basically a housing mower. Are side by side right now, but yeah, so I apologize if that doesn't have a permit.
And I guess my question would be, is the intent for the purpose of those two outbuildings to utilize the newer one to replace those items?
I would like to have that shed remain if possible, and just like it's a perfectly sound shed, to get rid of it and put it to waste might be, I mean, if it's necessary, you know, I could do that, but, yeah, the goal is to get the implements, closer to the home as well for convenience and everything else. But having that is definitely something that I don't see to be a bad thing as overflow and for seasonal items.
Is it possible to move the shed back? So it meets the 60-foot front setback, or? I see the
So-
contours, it starts dropping off.
It does, and so the way that the property works is like it floods quite a bit in the spring and in the and in the fall, in winter and whatnot, and like, so with the way that it drops down there with this topology, it's. I feel like it would require a retaining wall and a lot fill to make that happen.
Yeah, the area sort of right in front of the shed does get,
Yeah,
Pretty wet.
like it starts flooding
It looked,
basically up to that.
it also looked like on one of the walls that it had water,
Yeah,
a water line from like previous. What?
yeah, it's a very wet property, which
yeah,
is like
Mhm.
fine, that's how it's supposed to be, but it does make it difficult for, having construction and having storage. And like we kind of need some of these tools to be able to maintain the land and made the investment to have them, and so want to be able to keep them, better stored.
You came before the planning board. Year or so ago.
we did, and we had, this was.
We didn't know what we were doing back then.
We had no clue, and like, we had basically the barn up by the side of the
I
road.
remember.
Yeah,
Yeah, you did move it back considerably.
yes,
I know at that time there was a question about removing the 2 trees.
yep,
Yeah,
yep, but that's gonna, those trees are gonna have to go. Yep, let's put this in.
Yeah. I
but we
remember that.
will save the plantings in the front at that,
Mhm.
it's sort of a little bit of a trade-off.
Mhm.
And there are other trees up, by the road that can also provide sort of a
Yeah,
shelter from.
we got a line on the side there, on the west side, and then, right there, and then a bunch of other trees.
So we don't want to have to move those trees, but it's probably a better plan.
This is a lot better plan than the one a year ago.
Yeah.
It was almost in the right of way a year ago.
Yeah, I know, yeah, like she was saying, we had
It's a
no
learning
idea, we had no
process.
idea what we were doing. So,
I want to just make reference the shed that is there today,
Mhm.
that would also require an additional variance, because
Yes.
it's also in front of that, so you would have to go through the same process for that.
In order
Yeah,
just to
it's
keep
a
it.
key.
Correct, so I know, do they receive a copy of the letter from Cory as well?
No.
Okay. We did receive a letter just from Cory for the 2 sheds, so, it is it would make sense to be able to just combine these two and to use that existing the new facility or new building, I guess. It would just make it would clean up that building, it would remove it, it would allow you to centralize everything, but also would remove water. So,
Yeah, in Corey's letter, he says 2 additional unpermitted accessory structures. We see the shed. Is there another one?
So that's the thing is, so next to this shed, there was a
Cardboard.
carport that was
Just
there. That had a
temporary?
tractor in it
Temporary.
from the previous folks there. And then they got rid of the tractor and the carport has kind of like. deteriorated. Yeah,
Yeah. 'cause
so
they're
it's just
very
like the
good.
metal, yeah, it's like the metal structure that's there now, so I've been looking to actually get rid of that.
So we're looking at one.
Yeah,
He did mention the 2 additional permitted accessory structures. What are the dimensions of them?
so the one shed is 12 by 16. That's the one that's actually on the map, the one to the other side of that, which is towards the house, the west. That is, I wanna say it's. Something like that, yeah, but there's currently like no roof over it or whatever, it's
It's just.
literally just metal beams right now.
And it's more or less, we just need to get out there.
Yeah, we're gonna take it down,
Okay.
we don't plan. on that at all.
Yeah. When you're in before the planning board, you submit a rendering on a building.
Mhm.
It's gonna be the same. I think he had some stone
So,
wainscot in,
yeah, yep, so we plan on doing the same thing, so it's gonna be a metal building, the siding is gonna kind of like, it's as best we can match the siding of the home. Same with the metal roof on it, and we plan on having wainscoting around the bottom of it, with gutters and French drains to put it back.
I don't remember from our original application, we may have also added a couple of windows to kind of make it.
Yeah, yep. Yep, quite a bit facing the road.
Anything else? Anyone online?
Nope.
No? Okay. All right, well. there's a great stuff I can go there, and we're gonna, we'll probably discuss and. All right, thank you. All right, then a motion to close the public. Motion to close the public. All in favor?
Aye.
So did we want to, we'll circle back to the Carter area variance? We want to discuss that further, take action.
I'm also.
Any other questions, discussion on that one? No? Okay. Do we have any motions for action on that one? Anyone want to move or second those?
I'll make the motion.
All right, and do we have a motion for approve or deny?
Approval.
Okay. All right. So I will read the draft with those two items, and then we will walk through the 5 questions. The roll. Well, give David some good context as to, just in case. All right, so Tom Voorhees move second. Paul, yes, sorry. I was just trying to get ahead of myself there. So the area variance requested by Lewis Carter for property located at 79 Landing Road, Honeywood Falls, tax ID number 1223.01-1-15. Zoned RA-5 to allow a pole barn that is forward of the minimum front yard setback to the principal building. The motion is approved or granted based on the following. Whereas the above property owner appeared before the zoning board of appeals at public hearing on the application on June 12th, 2025. And whereas the town code section 260-8C7 prohibits accessory structures forward of the minimum front yard setback for the principal building. And whereas the application was sent to the ZBA attorney and the town code enforcement officer for review. And whereas this application was sent to Monroe County Planning Board for review pursuant to General Municipal Law 239-M. Any application was returned as a local matter with comments. And whereas the ZBA held a public hearing and the public was given an opportunity to comment on the application. Now therefore be it resolved that this application constitutes a type 2 action under SECRA and no further environmental review is required. And be it further resolved that the ZBA has weighed the effects of the requested variance against the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood and community, and hereby motion is grants the requested variance based on the following findings. We'll go through the 5. The requested benefit can or cannot be achieved by other feasible means. And context for that.
Well, I think a lot you could do it, but there needs to be request is not substantial. Obviously, the thing, the garbage is somehow not, but the request is not.
With other unintended consequences that I move. Request is or is not substantial because And there's not. Is not, I'm good with is not,
Because
still leaves a 80 foot. From the road and.
complies with existing front setback requirements.
Yes.
It does blend in with the neighborhood. There are additional
Yes,
detached accessory structures in the front yard.
okay. The request will or will not have an undesirable change in the neighborhood. I would say it will not, like other properties in that same area. Yes. The request will or will not have an adverse effect on the physical and or environmental conditions of the neighborhood or district. Will not. Same argument. Previous one. And the difficulty is or is not self-created because it's the applicant's desire to. I would say is. And most of those are always kids. So. Do we want to add any conditions on this one? Or just propose the aesthetics on similar color? You mentioned gray matching the house, the wainscoting, the et cetera, just to make sure that it's aesthetically similar. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. All right. Following discussion, following a roll call, do you want to add that we're adding Liz working on this one? Sure.
Yeah, I already added it to mine.
Okay, gotcha. So all in favor of this is read?
Aye.
Any opposed? Right. That one's approved. You guys are good to go. You'll work with them on that.
Yep, I'll be sending you guys a letter in the mail. Approval.
All right. So we will move to. It wasn't, it was there. It was in the. Board. All right. So you guys want to discuss that? Variance. Take action, talk about it.
I take action, motion to approve.
We have a second on that.
I'll second it.
So it's just before I'll go through the draft determination, Paul Maraska moved, seconded by Tom Voorhees, of the area variance requested by Peter and Suzanne Paulo for property located at 97 Boughton Hill Road, Indiana Falls, tax ID number 189783, zone RA-5, to allow 37.2 foot setback for a detached garage that is forward of the minimum yard setback for the principal building. The motion is granted based on the following. Whereas the above property owners appeared before the zoning board of appeals at public hearing on the application on June 12th, 2025. And whereas town code section 260-106 requires a minimum front setback of 60 feet. And whereas town code section 260-8C7 prohibits accessory structures forward of the minimum front yard setback for the principal building. And whereas this application was sent to the ZBA's attorney and town code enforcement officer for review. And whereas this application was sent to the Monroe County Planning Board for review pursuant to General Municipal Law 239-M. And the application was returned as a local matter of comment. Whereas the ZBA notes that there are 2 existing accessory structures which are within the front setback and forward of the minimum front setback of the principal building, which are not properly permitted by the town. And whereas the ZBA held a public hearing and the public was given an opportunity to comment on the application. Now therefore be it resolved that this application constitutes a type 2 action under SECRA and no further environmental review is required. Be it further resolved that ZBA has weighed the effects of the requested variances against the health, safety and welfare of the neighborhood and community. And hereby motion is grants the requested variance for a 37.2 foot front setback based on the following findings. The requested benefit can or cannot be achieved by other feasible means.
Could say, not.
And not based on the site.
Site limitations, site plan. The requester is or is not substantial because. Say it is on this one. I would say it is, if it's more than 50%. The request will or will not have an undesirable change in the neighborhood.
I would say will not. Here's. It's considerable amount of screening.
Vegetative screening and the request will or will not have an adverse effect on the physical and or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. Cause
So it does not. Again, the site.
would agree with that.
Layout on the property.
The difficulty is or is not self-created. Yeah, because
Want to build a barn?
desire to build. So because this is a double variance request, we have the second set of questions for the board. Well, kind of did both.
You
So,
can have the same, you can just go
Okay.
through them, and if it applies, you can have the same rationale for both.
okay.
Just technically, they're 2 separate variances, so you have to address them separately.
Okay, and be it further resolved, the ZBA has weighed the effects of the requested variances against the health, safety, and welfare of the ethnic neighborhood and community, and hereby motion again is grants requested variance to allow an accessory structure forward to the minimum front setback of the principal building based on the following findings. Requested benefit can or cannot be achieved by other feasible means. I would say it's the same. The layout of the property cannot. Request is or is not substantial. They really all mirror. There is one.
What's that?
They all mirror.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll move on to conditions then. This one. And I would just, I think we would reference the COE memo.
Yeah, what I had suggested was that prior to the issuance of a building permit for the proposed garage, that the applicant shall either bring the other structures into compliance or remove them.
Yep.
So if they want to keep them, they need to apply for variance for those, whether it's for the shed or whatever they want to do with the carport. But either way, it has to be addressed to the towns to comply with the town's code or remove them.
Yeah, this was later than your proposal, so I was just referencing.
Yeah, I had spoken with Cory before he wrote that, so I knew what.
Go ahead, go ahead. I would say for the conditions, similar to the last one we did with the aesthetics on color matching roof. And the general proposed aesthetics. Any other conditions? So just to review those, that would be the ones that David reviewed or read. And then the aesthetics one. Right. All right. All right, we'll do a roll call vote on that, so. All in favor of the determination as we just read and reviewed? Aye. Any opposed? So, you can work with. Work
Right.
work through that. All right. Do we have any public comment? Any general discussion by members of the board? Okay. Yeah, upcoming meeting information.
No new applications, so June 6th, 26th would be canceled.
Right,
Hopefully we can get you guys on to another one.
Was gonna say.
all right. Do I have a motion to close?
I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Alright,
Who was first on that? First, second?
All right.
thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
That's why I'm gonna close that. They decided.